So 5-2 polynomials, linear factors, and zeros. So we're going to factor and we're going to graph today. Okay, so understanding the concepts of zeros is important. Remembering stuff all the way back from before spring break, that 5-1 section like I told you about. I've got one more little bundle of flashcards, or two more little bundles of flashcards. Was anyone not here when we did the flashcard thing? Did you need a bundle of flashcards? No? Okay. So make sure you have to have flashcard thing turned in, right? 10 flashcards, front and back photos. That counts as your first quiz. So I'm trying to give you a nice boost to your grade right away at the beginning of quarter 4. Remember, grades start over. I haven't graded any of your stuff yet. I'm going to grade a bunch of crap next period. But you'll have a quiz grade in based on your flashcards. So everyone should have a really good grade after that. Or if you didn't do the flashcards, you will have just a beautifully impressive F. Okay? So don't be that kid. So we got this problem here. I'm just going to rewrite it so it's a little bit bigger. So when it says factored form, that's where you want parentheses. So if you don't understand factored form means stop at the parentheses, write that down, right? So if you forget that, I would just write parentheses if you need to say like stop at the parentheses. Right, just so little stuff like that will help you remember. Because oftentimes, you guys don't, when you struggle, you don't know what the first step is, or you don't understand what the directions mean. So factor form parentheses. So as we look at this here, each term has an x. So as always, when we factor stuff, we're looking for greatest common factor. In this problem, greatest common factor is x. So we can divide that out right away. So we take that x. That goes in front of the parentheses. And then I envision just this, just thinking about that fraction right there. If this helps you, you can envision the x cubed as 3 x's. The x below is just a single x. And then if you're trying to figure out what you have left, that's why we just have x squared left in the parentheses. So each exponent from the numerator just becomes 1 less as we divide it out, so minus 2x. The x's cancel on the last one, minus 15. So now, in the parentheses, we have, what's it called because of the 2? Oh, yeah, you got to remember, 9 whole days ago, right? Begins with Q. Quadratic. 3 terms. Trinomial. Quadratic trinomial. Start drilling that stuff into your head so you can remember that. So if I have a quadratic, you can always do the beginning of the Indian method. And if we don't have a number in front of the x squared, you don't need to do the fraction part of the Indian method. All you need to do is the cross part. So remember, it's a times c up top, b on the bottom. So the a would be 1, the c is negative 15. You multiply those, you get negative 15. The b term is right here. So the only factors at 15 are 1 and 15, and 3 and 5. So all I need to determine is it 3 minus 5, or is it 5 minus 3? 3 minus 5 is negative 2, 5 minus 3 is positive 2. So I want to do 3 minus 5. So if we did the parenthesis or the fraction portion of the program, we'd write x squared on top here and reduce. But when we just have the 1 as the leading coefficient, you can just set your parentheses now. So we have x plus 3, x minus 5. So when I wrote that helpful hint in green at the top right of this slide, stop at the parentheses, that's what I mean. I got the parentheses, I'm done. Problem over. So I like doing the cross part of this just because I like when I have organization where it shows me where stuff goes. So that really works well for my brain in math. If it works well for yours, fantastic, do it. Like if I were to do this problem on my own, I wouldn't show the cross, right? I'd just go right to the parentheses. But it just depends like how well you understand it. So write this one down and try it on your own. We give it a minute or two to try that. Now you're going to have to carry Malfoy around with you, Hannah.
I know.
We can't see Malfoy's new shirt every day.
Oh, so sad.
So it's weird. This period I have 1 kid virtual. This period I have 4 kids virtual. 8th period I have 35 kids in my Algebra 2 class. I only have 31 seats in here. So thank God I have 8 kids virtual. Otherwise there wouldn't be enough seats. And whenever they enroll my classes, I won't ever put more than 31 desks in here. I'm like, I don't care, sit on the floor. And then I hope that the kid will complain and get into a different class. That's my little evil way of dealing with that.
So just show up first to your class.
Yes, you got to be early. Being early pays off, right? Otherwise you have to sit on the ground. But you guys, you know, with our seating charts, we got to be very, this is your seat, right? So if you want to change your seat, you got to talk to me, and I'm happy to change your seat. I don't give a crap where you sit. And then I always reserve the right, if you annoy me, I will move you. There's no warnings or anything like that. If you annoy me to the point where I need to move you, first I'll kick you out in the hall, then I'll yell at you, and then I'll move your seat as well, because that's just ridiculous, right? Your sophomores and juniors should be able to control your behavior, right? Okay, so you should be done with this by now. Question, Amanda? Okay.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So here's what you should get. Raise your actual hand if you got it right, or virtual hand as the case may be. You can raise your actual hand as well. Good. Looks like most people did it. Again, once we get down to this, you can do the cross part if that helps you. So I know the factors of 12 that are 1 apart because I have -1 here, are 4 and 3. Because this, right, the top is negative and the bottom is negative, the bigger factor has to be negative. Okay, so that's why it's -4 plus 3 instead of +4 minus 3, right, because we have the -1 here. So when the top's negative, the signs are opposite. When the bottom's negative, the bigger factor is negative. When the bottom's positive, bigger factor is positive. Simple as that. Okay, write this one down. Now we're going to graph these things. I used to have this whole page-long list of instructions for graphing these. I found it just kind of makes it worse for you guys, to be honest. So we're just going to kind of talk about it and think about it and use our common sense, and that's usually the best way to do things anyways. So first step I would do on these, I'll do this one time and then I won't do again because I respect your guys' intelligence. But I just need to show you the y first. So we need to get the zeros, right? Which means we need to set the parentheses equal to 0. Okay? So that should make crystal clear common sense to you. So you just write x plus 2, each parenthesis equal to 0. This is a step I won't show again because all you have to do is switch the sign in the parentheses. Right? Which you can tell with the green stuff, that's what I'm doing, right? I'm getting the number part over to the other side and the sign's going to switch just naturally as the problem happens, kind of. So what I'm trying to tell you in a long-winded kind of way is that once you see the parentheses, if you just want to tell me x equals -2, +1, and +3, I respect your intelligence to be able to switch a sign. You do not have to show this step. but now you understand the why. Right, we're getting a 0, so you set the parenthesis equal to 0. So, we have x values of -2, 1, and 3. If you need graph paper, there's graph paper up here. You need graph paper for this, okay? I will be a pain in the ass about it. So come grab some graph paper if you need it. And if you are borrowing graph paper from me every day, just know that I hate you, and you're going to go buy your own graph paper, right? Notice the gender of everyone grabbing graph paper. I just want to point that out to you. For those of you at home, every single person that came up and grabbed graph paper was a guy. So we're just making fun of the guys. We've got a lot more girls in this class. Target-rich environment, gentlemen. Just saying. Okay. I like making awkward moments. What can I say? So, we have zeros of -2. So all you have to do is just throw it right on the x-axis. That's what a 0 means. +1 and +3. So as we look at our original problem here, if I just think about the x's and multiply only the x's together, I'm going to end up with +x cubed. So this is using our common sense portion of the program, like me kind of modeling what goes through my head in the hopes that you will take on that information. So +x cubed, I know +x cubed is like a sideways S that finishes up. So positive finishes up. When I say finishes up, I'm talking about that little arrow right there. So I know the general shape of my graph is going to be something like this. Don't draw that yet. What I don't know is how high up this graph goes or how low down it goes there. And we need to plug in some additional points to figure that out. So, let me erase that. So I have to take an x value in between these two blue dots. I can choose -1 here or 0. So what yep?
I was just wondering where you got the x cubed from.
X times x times x,
Oh,
x cubed.
okay.
That's all. Right? So I know the general shape of the graph. So when I'm picking points, it's like I'm making educated guesses. So I could pick -1 here or 0. So I'm going to plug in 0 because that's usually easier to plug in. So y equals 0 plus 2, 0 minus 1, and 0 minus 3. So plug that in, right? Do the math. Remember the order of operations. All of you can recite PEMDAS, right? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Most of you refuse to use it because you like missing points on a math quiz and test. So use PEMDAS, right? You got to do parentheses first. So when I add 0, or I plug in 0 for x, basically the x's disappear, right? And I'm just multiplying the numbers together. So like 2 times -1 times -3. So 2 times -1 times -3 is +6. So I get y equals 6. That means the ordered pair I get is 0, 6. Right? I plugged in 0 for x, I got 6 for y. So we can just graph that. 0 for x, 6 for y. Right? And we're expecting that point should be above the x-axis because of this graph right here. Right? So that helps kind of build out what you think should happen. Now, I only have one x value to pick in between here, so that's +1, that's +2, and we'll plug that in. So y equals 2 plus 2, 2 minus 1, and 2 minus 3. And then you just do the math in the parentheses. So y equals 4 times 1 times negative 1. So y equals negative 4, which means our order pair is 2, negative 4. Yes?
Where'd you get the 2?
The 2 I got because I picked in between these 2 points. Okay? So 2, negative 4, I'm here at 2, negative 4, right here. And then, I'm not like psychotic about how you draw these graphs, just try to hit the dots. Sometimes I whiff on dots, but it was pretty good. At least my graph touched all the dots. But again, I'm looking for the general shape. I'm looking for the math in these 2 additional order pairs, right, to understand you know what's going on. You good? This usually just wrecks people. What confuses students is, I think there's no problem getting to zeros, right? It's picking the x values to plug in that usually wrecks people. So you're just picking in between the dots, right? X values in between the dots. I could have done negative 1, that'd be fine. I could have done 0. I only have 1 to choose here. There's one in your homework where it's 2 right next to each other. So you just have to pick like 2.5 in that case. The one I give you on a quiz will be kind of like this one where it's reasonable, fit into the graph, right? And your first quiz is going to be tomorrow on this section, 5.2. Okay? So realize how quizzes are going to work. We're going to have quizzes almost either every day or every other day. They're going to be like 2-question quizzes. I teach you the concept. I give you a quiz that same day. There's no study time. Like, you'll be able to do some homework to make sure you know what's going on, but it'll be 10 minutes left in class. I'll be like, okay, start your quiz. Boom, boom. Just like that, okay? So it'll be graded on Schoology. I'm going to try to do it that way first. You'll submit work so I can give you partial credit, so you'll know if you got them both right, and then we don't have to worry about the partial credit, but that's how it's going to work. And then test this semester as well. Okay, what are the zeros? Write this one down first, and then tell me what the zeros are once you get a chance to write it down. So normally they only give us 1 bottle of cleaning solution, so they anticipate you guys are extra messy because I have 3 now. Like, you're going a little crazy, people. So when you have x in front, you still set that equal to 0. So it's just x equals 0 as one of your zeros. So your zeros should be 0, positive 3, and negative 5. Right? And then you're picking x values in between. So draw your graph. Make those 3 dots on the x-axis at 0, positive 3, and negative 5. And then pick some values in between. You know that your graph, again, is going to be a positive x cubed that looks like that. Your zeros are going to be 0, 3, and negative 5. Right, just give you a little starter pack there. So always, when I give you these opportunities to try it on your own, try it on your own. Make sure you're actually trying it and asking me questions if you get confused, because that's the best way to help you. You get one question, I can answer it one-on-one, you'll learn the most. So we're going to get, after this class period and after lunch, I'm going to go to Office Max, or whatever the hell it's called now, and get you guys little folders to turn your homework in. So you'll turn it into the folders and take the pick like normal and submit it online. That way I've got flexibility of how I want to grade it. Like sometimes I might not be able to get to the folders. I'll just grade it online and vice versa. Yeah, that you'll just have to do it online. Yeah, it's fine. we'll just leave you a sticky note inside your folder that says, remember, dumbass, I've got an iPad. You just do it online. No, I definitely, iPad's the best way to go for sure in taking notes in class. If you can afford one. And then if you're online, do the virtual hand raise once you're done with this problem so I know. And then I can tell in person because you'll stop reading. I'm going to kind of start working through it here. Oh, and it's not a straight line. I need to make this grid a little darker, right, for you guys in the back? Isn't it hard to see the grid? It's not bad? Okay, good. There's 0. -5. Again, you know, it looks like that. So I'm going to pick -2. So you see 30, right? You're like, oh crap, that's a big number. So that means I'm going to go up by something else on my y-axis. I'll go up by like 5 on my y-axis, just so it'll work out easier. And then we'll do another point over here. So I'm going to choose +1. So here, y would equal 1 times -2 times 6. So y would equal -12. Order to pair is 1, -12. So I have -2, 30, and 1, -12. So you just got to tell me. Right? I just say by 5s like that, and then I don't have to number the graph. Like, I'm fine with you guys doing that. And this one is by 1s. You just got to tell me so I know. Because if I don't know, I'll just take points off. Because you got to indicate if you're changing your scale. So -2, 30, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Which is totally distorting our graph, but you can only do what you can do. Right? Like I whiffed on that point up there, but I don't care. That's close enough. Yeah? This slide? Yeah.
Why did you choose 2 to plug in?
Why did I choose -2?
Oh, yeah.
So -2, I could have chosen, I'm just trying to get in the middle of these 2 points.
Oh.
So technically it'd be -2.5, so I'm going to pick -3 or -2, and it totally doesn't matter. Just pick one in the middle, because then you'll get how high up it goes, basically. I went by 5s on the y-axis and 1s on the x-axis. Tell me when you're good, Maggie. So you'll definitely have one like this on your quiz tomorrow. So if you want to write on quiz tomorrow, that's not a bad idea. So maybe 2 or 3 questions max, that's it. And if I can, so if you're trying to anticipate what's going to be on a quiz, smart students do these kinds of things, right? And you're all smart people, despite my actual beliefs about some of you. That's called sarcasm, calling yourself, right? So you want to think, if I'm teaching you a concept that like addresses two concepts, you know that kind of question is going to be on the quiz. So try to guess what I'm going to put on the quiz. Now I just told you one of them, so you know, right? But just think as we go through the lesson, like, I know Evans, he's going to throw that on the quiz. And try to anticipate that, and do that for every class you ever take from now until you're out of school. Like college, super important to figure that stuff out. Just makes life easier. Okay, write this one down. Right, I took the social studies class in college. It was one of those kind of annoying finals where you have 10 questions you can prepare, and then you're going to have to choose 3 out of 5 questions. So it gives you 10 you can prepare, and you choose 3 out of 5. So I did a statistical analysis on how few questions I could prepare and have like a 95% chance I wouldn't screw myself over. So instead of preparing all 10, I prepared like 6 questions, right? Because I did the math and I understood if I did 6 questions that have a 95% chance, I would be able to like throw down one of those 6. So that cut my studying by multiple hours. So if you can cut your studying by multiple hours, hell yeah, you want to use that technique, right? So again, try to analyze what you're learning and how your teacher tests you, because it just makes your life easier. Okay, so they give us the zeros. We got to go back to the parentheses. So just to show you kind of how this works, the only way I end up with -2 is by having that parentheses set equal to 0, right? Because I would have to subtract 2 over, so x equals -2. So to get x equals -2 right here, my parenthesis is going to be x plus 2. Okay, so again, it's just opposite signs. Whether I'm going from parentheses to zeros, I use opposite signs. Or if I'm going from zeros back to the parentheses, I also use opposite signs. So my parentheses here are x plus 2, x minus 2, and x minus 3. So if I was doing this in the easiest possible way, I would multiply x plus 2 and x minus 2 first, because I can do that in my head. It's x squared minus 4, right? But I know your homework problems are going to be a little bit different, so I'm going to do, like, break what I always tell you. I always do every math problem the easiest possible way. This one I'm going to do it a mildly more difficult way, but it'll help you guys with other problems on your homework. So I'm going to box just the last 2 factors, the last 2 parentheses, and then I'm going to multiply the x plus 2 at the end. So if they give you, well, let's just do this first, and then I'll bring up the other point I was about to make. So if we multiply upper left, we get x squared, upper right, -2x, lower left, -3x, lower right, +6. When you use this box method, the bonus is you can always combine like terms, lower left to upper right, like that, and that's always going to work out. It's always going to work out because when you do the box part, you're going to put it in standard form always. So we're not going to do that one because it's a pain in the neck to multiply 4 of these. So just writing the answer from my multiplication box here, -5x plus 6. And then the last parenthesis I have up here is that x plus 2. So we're just going to make a rectangle style here, multiplying x plus 2 like this. Right, so I'm thinking, like, what question am I going to put on your quiz? Right, as I teach, I think these things as well, right? So if I think about this question, I could make you graph it. I could start with the parentheses, make you give me the zeros, multiply them together, and graph it. That would be one question that would take up like half of the section just with one question. So that's a good kind of question to put on there. Okay, so when you're multiplying things, you multiply on the outside, combine like terms inside. So if you forgot that, write that down. Multiply outside. And combine like terms inside. The other thing I want to remind you of is this exponent rule that students often screw up. Versus this. So you want to build some more flashcards for this chapter? That's a perfect thing to throw down there, right? Some of you already know the multiply outside, combine like terms inside, so I wouldn't make a flashcard with that. But this exponent rule, like the amount of mistakes I see with that exponent rule is insane. So, like when I make my little freshmen do this kind of thing, I always have them put the ones on the x's so they remember to add the exponents. So if that helps you as well, then write the little ones on there. Top middle is negative 5x squared. Top right plus 6x. Bottom left plus 2x squared. Bottom middle negative 10x. Bottom right plus 12. I always like putting the signs in the box just because it helps when you combine like terms. And then, right, we're combining lower left to upper right. So combining on the diagonal like that, and that will always work. So our answer here is going to be x cubed minus 3x squared minus 4x plus 12. So what polynomial results from the 3 zeros we got at the beginning? That one. Right? Just name it. Oh, it just created anxiety in you right there. You're like, oh shit. What's a 3? Cubic. 4 terms? Polynomial, yeah. So I won't make you, well, I might on this quiz. Who knows? Cubic, polynomial. I'm going to put a comma there. Cubic polynomial. It's beautiful. So if you multiply 4, it's a pain in the neck because you have this cubic polynomial and you have another binomial here. So if I make you multiply a whole nother row of stuff, it just works out bad. So I won't do that to you. That is it, right there, 293, 7 through 25 odd. I was going to teach you more stuff, but it just was not a great idea. Pause this recording. It's published